In high school basketball, there is a ton of underrated players, and today, I'm just going to be telling you the top 5 most underrated players out there. A lot of hoopers out there, and even you watching this video may be really good, but you just don't get a lot of attention. And that is the main reason why I started this new series on my channel, and I absolutely love it, and so do you guys. On the last video, I asked if you guys wanted to see a part 3. Let's aim for 1,500 likes, and you guys met it and crushed the like goal. So if you guys want to see a part 4 to this series, let's do it again and aim for 1,500 likes. I feel like that's reachable and that's a great goal, and you guys have been crushing it, so thank you for all the support. This is honestly my favorite series I've ever done on my channel. And if I missed out on a player that you feel like is underrated, drop it down in the comment section down below or shoot me a DM on Instagram. And one last thing, even if you're a 3, 4, or 5-star recruit, you can still be on this list and be classified as underrated. And the reason for that is there's a ton of 5-star recruits that I guarantee you guys have never even heard of. So therefore, they're still underrated and they're still underhyped. So if you see a 5-star recruit on this list, don't freak out, that's the reason why. Alright, that's enough talking, let's get straight into the video. We got the top 5 most underrated high school basketball players in the country. Let's do this. Coming in at number 5 on our list, we have a 6'3", 190-pound shooting guard that goes by the name of Aminu Muhammad. Aminu is in the class of 2021 and he is arguably the best shooter in his class. And oh yeah, we can't forget to mention he's a 5-star recruit and ranked as the 10th best overall player in the country. But here's the thing, no one's talking about him. And one of the more crazy parts about his story was that his parents didn't even want him to play basketball at first. And here's what he had to say about that. They didn't want me to play basketball at first. They didn't want it to affect my education, but when my brother came over here, it really pushed them. And what he's talking about was that he actually moved all the way from Nigeria over to the United States. And ever since he arrived, he's dominated. But I also think that's a main reason as to why he receives no attention or hype whatsoever. A lot of the hoop mixtape companies and fan accounts only cover the United States best players. And this guy just moved here when he was only 14 or 15, so he was already one step behind. But I think in a year or two, everyone will realize that we shouldn't have slept on him. And this guy has an overall real smooth game for a shooting guard. Of course he can shoot, it's in his position's name, but he can also do a lot of other things. One thing I noticed in the film was that he has a very quick first step and he can attack the rim when he wants. So after he hits a couple shots, if you play up on him, I wouldn't play so tight because he can blow right past you. And he's very athletic and he has a sweet pull-up mid-range. And his game's really impressive, but if you don't believe me, just take a look at the numbers. For the season 2018 through 2019, he was the Missouri Boys Basketball Player of the Year. And for the season, he averaged an unreal 34.2 points per game. And that's really good, but he also pitched in 17.5 rebounds per game as well. Not only that, he also pitched in 2.9 steals and 2.3 assists. And here's what an opposing coach had to say about him. Aminu Muhammad is by far the most talented player I've ever coached against. He's extremely athletic, his leaping ability allows him to completely dominate the offensive and defensive glass. And he's not just a great athlete, he is a polished scorer. And honestly, that coach took the words out of my mouth, that is completely right. And a little fun fact to throw in there for you guys, he also takes school very serious. He has a 3.46 GPA. So with all that being said, I have no idea why no one is giving this kid any hype. Even though we're not giving him a lot of hype and attention, the college coaches are. He has coaches everywhere absolutely drooling over him and he can go to any college he wants. And they know how good he is, it's just a matter of time before we wake up and realize how good he is. With all that being said, this is why Aminu Muhammad comes in at number 5 on our list. Coming in at number 4 on our list, we have another shooting guard coming in at 6'4", 190 pounds that goes by the name of Darius Whitehead. And just like our previous player, he's also a 5-star recruit and ranked the 9th best overall player in the country. So once again, we have another very highly ranked player, but I bet most of you guys have never even heard of him. And the reason many of you have probably never heard of this guy is pretty simple. He's in the class of 2022 and he goes to school at Montverde Academy. So although he's really good, there's been a ton of other players that have been overshadowing him. And there's some recruiters that think this guy can go straight to the NBA if they change the rule. Some recruiting websites have also listed him at 6'5" and 190 pounds, so that's a really solid build. And probably the best part of his game, like our last guy, is his shooting ability. He can absolutely light it up, but I would like to see him improve his handles going forward. And a lot of recruiters have also said he lacks on defense here or there, but he makes up for it with his athletic ability. And I'm not criticizing him because he's still a beast. In this recent year, he averaged roughly 15 minutes per game and was very productive. For the year, he almost shot at 45% from deep, and that's really impressive. And here's what his coach had to say about how much he's been improving. He's matured a lot each year. He's just grown up each year. He's becoming more and more humble, more and more coachable, and more disciplined. And for college coaches and NBA scouts, that is what you love to hear, a good and coachable player. And for his overall game, he's actually really similar to our last player, and I think that's why they're ranked so close to each other. First things first, he's a knockdown shooter, so you gotta play tight on him. But if you do play tight, he can also blow right past you. However, I do gotta give the advantage to Whitehead because I do think he's more of an NBA type of player right now. He's grown into his body a little more than our previous player, and he's at one of the best places to get better and learn basketball, which is Montverde Academy. And out of the 5 players we're going to talk about today, I definitely think this guy has probably the most potential out of all of them. And here's what his head coach had to say about him later in an interview. He's close in a lot of areas. If he keeps working, stays humble, I think you're going to see when he's a senior, he could be one of the highlight guys in the country getting over the rim and dunking. So yeah, I definitely think that's a scary sight to see because not only will he be a knockdown shooter, but he'll also be a high flyer. So with all this being said, this is why Whitehead comes in at number 4 on our list. Coming in at number 3 on our list, we have a 5'11", 165-pound point guard that goes by the name of Jaylen Terry. Jaylen Terry is a 4-star recruit and ranked as the 88th overall best player in the country, which is almost slightly disrespectful because this kid can absolutely ball. Even though ESPN has him listed at 5'11", I have seen other websites that have him listed at 6 foot or 6'1". And Jalen's hometown is Mount Morris, Michigan, and he's in the class of 2020, which was this recent year. And with him being from Michigan, almost everybody thought he was going to go to Michigan State. However, this did not happen. At first, he was committed to Michigan State, but he then decommitted and wound up signing with Oregon. And that's a pretty big change because he went all the way from Michigan to Oregon. That's crazy. But Oregon is a pretty solid basketball program, so I think he'll do just fine over there. And this guy's kind of like a hoop mixtape player like Corey Sanders, Trey Jefferson, or Akil Carr. So it really mind boggles me why no one was really covering him or giving him any hype throughout the years. He's very fast and very speedy, as you guys have probably guessed it. And if I had to pick one thing, I would definitely say his ball handling and passing are his best attributes, which is playmaking, so it goes hand in hand together. But even though they are pretty good, I have seen him get careless with the ball and turn it over quite a bit. But that's not a big deal. In college, they'll definitely work on that. His shooting isn't exactly the best, but he can definitely work on that and improve it in college. But there has been a bunch of games where he's knocked down the 3-point shot and shot it with a lot of confidence. In his junior year for his high school, he put up a very solid 22.5 points per game. And keep in mind, he's only roughly 6 foot, so that's pretty impressive because he's more of a passer. Not only that, he also pitched in 7 rebounds and 6.3 assists. And he wasn't just doing this on the high school level, he was putting up good numbers on the AAU circuit as well. On the Nike EYBL circuit, he averaged 17.4 points and 5.6 assists. So he definitely proved that he can do it against the best competition as well. And there's been a ton of colleges after this guy, and it's for very good reason. He has a very nice overall game, but I feel like he's underrated and not ranked high in the rankings just because he's kind of short. If this guy was 6'5" and 180, I definitely feel like he would be ranked in the top 25. But even with that being said, where he's ranked at now, I just feel like it's not right and it's way too low. So with all this being said, this is why he comes in at number 3 on our list. Coming in at number 2 on our list, we have another point guard coming in at 6'3", 175 pounds that goes by the name of Salas. Hunter is a 4-star recruit and is ranked the 18th best overall player in his class. A little fun fact to throw in there, he's from Nebraska, and I didn't even know Nebraska had hoopers, but hey, here we are. So he's trying to put his city and his state on the map. But here's the problem, he's underrated. When he was just a freshman, he started playing on the varsity team right away. But he was just a freshman, so he didn't produce crazy numbers, but going into his sophomore year, he improved a lot. In 24 games played, he averaged a very solid 18.2 points per game. Not only that, he also pitched in 2.8 assists and 4 rebounds. And he was doing this at a very efficient rate of 58% from the field. And I guess being a shooter is the trend in today's video because he shot 40% from deep that year as well. So all in all, for just being a sophomore, those are pretty good numbers. But going into his junior year, he had heavy expectations. In his recent year, which was his junior season, he averaged 22 points per game. And once again, he pitched in a pretty decent 4 assists and roughly 4.5 rebounds. And once again, he was very efficient from the floor, shooting shooting right at 56% from the field. But one thing to keep in mind was that teams were really focusing on him and he was receiving a lot of double teams. And I really can't say too many bad things about his game because it's overall pretty great. Like I said, I guess being a shooter is the trend in today's video because he can absolutely light it up. But one thing to note on the film about this guy is that he's very underrated as an athlete. He really likes to play above the rim and he can attack the basket with ease and finish in traffic. And my favorite part about his game is that he has that killer mentality. He can take over a game at any given moment. He looks to score the ball. He doesn't walk up the court expecting to pass. He's going to the goal. But he's also not dumb. If they double team him or don't give him a look, he's just going to reset the play. And he can finish in traffic like an NBA player. It's almost unreal what he can do. I just really don't see any flaws in his game whatsoever. So that's why I feel like him only being ranked 18th is way too low. He is easily hands down a top 10 or maybe even a top 5 player. So for those reasons, this is why he comes in at number 2 on our list. Now the moment you guys have all been waiting for, the number 1 most underrated player in the country. And this may be a little controversial, however I feel like it's not. So just get ready and hear me out. Coming in at number 1 on our top 5 most underrated high school basketball players list, we have a 6'9", 210-pound center that goes by the name of Jalen Duran. Jalen Duran is a 5-star recruit and ranked the 2nd best overall player in the class of 2022. And just like a previous player we did on this list, he also goes to Montverde Academy. And trust me, I get it. Before you guys fly to the comments and be like, he's a 5-star recruit, he's ranked the 2nd best player in the country, he's not underrated. Just hear me out. Yes, he is ranked the 2nd best player in his class. However, I bet half of you guys have never even heard of him. And he gets no love from social media or hoop mixtape companies. So for that reason, this is why he comes in at number 1 on our list, because he's really good and no one's talking about him. A main and key reason why no one really gives him any love whatsoever is because he is a center. And let's be honest, when you go on YouTube and want to watch hoop mixtape videos, you're not watching centers play most of the time. You want to see those flashy plays and those dunks and the 3-pointers. Centers are kind of boring. And another thing that really hurts him like our other player was that he goes to Montverde Academy and he's kind of younger. Therefore, he's been overshadowed almost his entire career. But before he chose to transfer to Montverde Academy, he did play high school basketball in Philadelphia. And as a freshman, he had a pretty decent season. Out of 22 games played, he averaged 12.8 points per game. But he's not really known as a scorer. He can score, don't get me wrong, but he's a rim protector. He's really good on the defensive side of the ball. He averaged 9.3 rebounds, 1.2 steals, which is really good for a big man, and 2.5 blocks per game. And even though he wasn't scoring a lot, when he was shooting, he was efficient. He shot 71% from the field. And the best part of his basketball career has yet to come. Even though he's already listed at roughly 6'9", he's definitely going to grow and probably be a 7-footer eventually. No one's really talking about this guy because, like I said, his game's just really boring. But even though it's boring, NBA scouts love their centers. So if they change the one and done rule and make it where you can go to the NBA right after high school, I bet he'll be a lottery pick for sure. And another key and crucial part about his game is that he has a ton of potential. And that's why he transferred to Montverde Academy, because he feels like they can develop him into his best form. And even though he's still kind of young, he's really strong. And oftentimes during his games, he uses that to his advantage. And a little fun fact about this guy is that his favorite pair of shoes to wear during games are Kyrie's. And his reason for that was because he said they're light and he can jump pretty high in them. But he also stated he likes to wear LeBron's as well. I don't know if I've ever seen a big man wear Kyrie's, but hey, that's pretty interesting. But I'm not going to drag this out too long because there's not too much to say about this guy. He's just very, and I mean very underrated. Even though he has a really, and I mean really boring game, we got to give credit where credit is due. This guy's going to be a beast. So with that being said, this is why he comes in at number 1 on our list. All 5 guys we talked about in today's video have one thing in common. They're really great, but they're also really underrated. Hopefully that will change, and I really feel like it's going to change for a bunch of these players because most of the players we covered in today's video are kind of young. So if we give them a year or two, I definitely feel like they'll get the recognition they deserve. But if not, that's why we make these videos, so we can get their name out there a little more. And like I said, if I missed a guy or you know a guy that's underrated, don't be scared to leave a comment down below or shoot me a DM on Instagram. And like I said, if y'all want to see a part 4 and want to see a continuation of this series, let's aim for 1,500 likes. But yeah, man, with all this being said, that's about gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you are new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.